What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode. I just wanted to jump on really quick and say thank you so much to all of you who have left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you are listening to the show and you haven't gone on and leaving a star rating and written in a little comment, if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. If you are enjoying these episodes, getting any value out of them, or you just enjoy me babbling on, I would greatly appreciate you taking just a couple minutes to do that. You can do it right from your phone, and it would mean a lot to me. So let's get on to the show.
In order to reshape the future, to change ultimately where you want to go, is going to have to start with a choice that's going to be congruent with that future. So you have to ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that's going to impact my life to be where I want to be? And that's one thing that really, not to bring it upon myself, but that's one thing that I've really continually asked myself every day, because it's an ongoing thing. You have to ask yourself, what's the one most powerful thing that I could do right now that's going to get me out of this shit that I'm in, this absolute hell that I'm experiencing, to go where I want to be. And it's not what other people think. It's not what they think is the one thing. It's what you truly think is the one thing. What's that one thing that really matters?
That is Austen Gravett this week on the Do It For Yourself podcast. Hello, my friends. What's up? What's going on? How are you? I hope you're doing well. This week, my guest on the podcast is Austen Gravett, and Austen is the owner of Gravitate. He has an online training community that he has now since launched. It's called the Gravitate Academy, and he also has Gravitate.com and a big social media following on Instagram. I actually have had some mutual friends with Austen for quite some time, and I've been following him from afar a little bit and watching his fitness journey and his fitness business kind of launch and grow. And so when I initially started this podcast, he was on the list of people who I really wanted to get connected with and talk to and see what he's been up to, what he's doing, and how he's expanding the Gravitate Academy and launching his online business. So it was really great to get a chance to sit down and do that with him. We did have a little difficulties in the audio, so if things sound a little funky during the show here, we did have some problems getting everything connected, and I think Austen's computer actually went to a white screen of death at one point in time. So I'm glad we were able to get everything worked out and have a chat about what he is up to. And I hope that you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Without further ado, here's my interview with Austen Gravett. All right, sweet. Then let's just get rolling, man. I'm here with Austen Gravett, and he is the owner of Gravitate, and he's also starting a movement called Gravitate a Million, which we are definitely going to get into. And Austen is he's an online fitness coach. He's a would you consider yourself you're not like an IFBB pro athlete, are you?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for the introduction, Ian.
Yeah, man.
No, so actually, I'm the thing I'm focused on now is powerlifting. So that's like my major focus is I'm a powerlifter.
Okay, and are you competing in that?
Yeah. So ironically enough, I have my second meet ever this Saturday coming up, man. Actually, it's Cinco de Mayo.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's I mean, it's a good it's a good thing to have those goals to work towards, and have the challenges. And I think that having that competition is always good too.
Yeah, I know you can relate it as like an athlete, and you do triathlons, I believe, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, as you know, like having that defined goal, having that that competition, or having that idea of working towards something, trying to constantly improve yourself, and beat your previous time, beat your previous attempt of what you had done before. I mean, that's always that's what I found has been really empowering to keep me grounded, to keep me focused, and not just myself, but I feel like that really helps me motivate my clients as well.
Yeah.
Going through that and understanding what they're working towards. When they have definitive goals.
Yeah, and not only working towards their definitive goals too, but like if something comes up for them, whether it be a challenge or a rough spot, or it's something that you've probably gone through as well.
Absolutely, man. Actually, along this prep, I injured myself, and I thought this meet was going to be over, but it's like you said, challenges arise, and it's like okay, well, what's the solution? How are we going to reframe our path so we can continue on what we set out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're in the fitness space right now, and you've been in the fitness space for quite some time. You have a big following on social media right now. You've got a couple companies that you're kind of working with, that seems like it's on like an ambassador kind of level. And so I want to kind of talk about how you got started into fitness, because you weren't always the ripped guy with the six pack that we see all over Instagram. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into fitness.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, my story was way on the other side of the spectrum, in the sense that I didn't, start off with any muscle whatsoever. I started off actually being in 2009, very frail, super skinny, but it was to the point where when I tried to get into fitness, I really wasn't satisfied with how I looked and how I felt, mentally and physically. I decided to make a change, and from there, actually, I ended up putting on body fat in areas I didn't want. So I became what's commonly referred to nowadays as you may hear in the media, skinny fat. I had like a belly, but I couldn't put on muscle for my life. So really that kind of irritated me more, and I decided to that's where I really started to do the research and really look into, okay, so how can I improve in this area? How can I improve in that area? And I really I fell in love with fitness, once I started doing that and surrounded myself with the right people, and I started to, I'd say, when I saw a change, I mean, that's what I was hooked. I mean, once I saw like the results I really wanted, I was hooked, and from there it's been upward. I mean, I'll say for the most part it's been upward, but it's definitely been a journey, man, and it doesn't stop there. It's a journey and process. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you were the scrawny guy, and you were going through kind of like middle school, high school, that's when kids like really learn how to be assholes, it seems like. And so, like, did you have any instances or any issues at school with people bullying you? Because I say that there's always two people that get made fun of, like in middle school. It's either the kid that's super fat or it's the kid that's super skinny. So did you have any of that like bullying that was going on?
Yeah, actually, dude, this is gonna sound really crazy, but I didn't when I was in, not so much in middle school, but believe it or not, man, tomorrow, I believe it. I don't know why the hell I remember this, but I think it was May 1st of 2008. I actually remember getting, I wouldn't say I got my ass kicked, but I remember somebody, I got like, it was just a miscommunication with someone who I was associated with, and ended up getting getting clocked in the face, and that was right before I started working out. And I was pretty. I mean, I went back like just infuriated, because I put myself in the situation. It wasn't, that person's fault. It was I put myself there. But secondly, it's just like I was like, well, I could have defended myself if I was more in shape, if I wasn't, so freaking scrawny. If I had meat on my body, this kid probably wouldn't have tried to push me around. So that actually kind of was one of the I would say it wasn't the cause that it wasn't the initiative that made, or it wasn't the thing that made me take the initiative, but it definitely was something that sparked, the fire to make me take action.
And what were some of the things that were kind of going on in your head? I mean, like you just said there, you felt as though that if you weren't as scrawny and you had a little bit more muscle, you would have been able to defend yourself in a situation like that. But was there anything else like going on in your head that was making you think, man, I wish that I was just a little bit bigger, or, I could put on a little bit more muscle, I'd be able to lift X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, I mean, I was, in the sense that I was like, well, if only I, at the time as a kid, I was like, I wish I bench pressed this much, or I wish I weighed this much. I wish I could have been able to, fight back. It was all these things, and a lot of it was obviously a lack of confidence. Physically, it didn't show, so that reflected what was going on inward. There wasn't that confidence that was reflected outward, and that's why I didn't feel it inward.
Now, when you were getting started and you said you were putting on body fat in some areas that you wish you hadn't put body fat on, and there was also in some of your posts on Instagram, you put out there for everyone to read that you made all of the, key mistakes when you first got started. So what were some of those key mistakes from when you first got started?
Yeah, man. So going more on the spectrum of, I guess, building muscle would probably be, and also losing body fat, more of like the body composition. I'd say the biggest misconception or the biggest mistake that I see people make is not eating enough calories when they're trying to build muscle or when they're trying to lose fat, is they don't eat enough. And if you're not taking in enough, food, your body's not going to function optimally. I could go into a number of things, but you got to look at the way I perceive food. And back then I didn't really look at it that way. Is it's fuel. It's there to provide your body the proper fuel you need to really regulate your metabolism at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you have to have that fuel in order to perform the workouts that you're trying to perform to lose the weight. So it's like there's this misconception that you need to starve yourself in order to lose weight because, it's just calories in, calories out. But there is a point in time where too many calories being burned and not eating enough calories is not going to help you. It's actually going to hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's finding that right amount, because like you just said, if you were to have too much, obviously it's going to spill over and you're not going to be able to lose body fat. But if you have too little, you're not going to have an efficient workout. You're not going to be able to give your body the proper fuel you need to really lift heavier, or run farther. And those things in effect are also going to help you, burn more calories. And it's finding that right amount for that specific person.
Yeah, and it is tricky. Like there is no one size fits all when it comes to weight loss or weight gain. Like you can't just say, okay, John, here's what I want you to do. You're going to eat, 1,500 calories. You're going to do these 3 workouts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you do that for the next 4 months, you're going to lose 20 pounds. Like it's just, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you just said, it's like, there's so many things that factor in from someone's, obviously their gender to their weight, obviously, but not even that, their age, obviously their activity level, how active they are throughout the day. If they're sedentary, that's going to have a huge effect in how many calories they should be eating versus if they're extremely active with their, with their job. So it's something to really take into account when I'm trying to help someone is, what is their lifestyle? Because if, like you said, if you're giving, John a diet that's for someone who's sedentary and John is a construction worker, then it's really going to alter. It's really not going to benefit John. At the end of the day, it's going to really hurt him. So yeah, it's a lot of things to take in consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to touch on that point about you helping people, you started your own kind of personal fitness journey because you wanted to change the way that you looked and some of the things that you were doing. But when did you have this idea or this thought that you wanted to then turn around and also become a trainer and start helping others do some of these same things?
Yeah, so I think it just cut out a little bit. I heard you say the thought of becoming a trainer. What was that last part?
Yeah, so when did you have this thought or this idea to, start training other people after you had already gotten into your fitness journey yourself?
Yeah, so I started in 2009, then I got really serious in college, like I was saying, when I found the right people to give me the guidance and support me. And along then, throughout college, I was originally going to pursue business, and I decided that at the time I really had this passion for fitness. So I wanted to kind of in transitioning when I was in school, I said, why not do that route, see where it takes me. And as I graduated college, I ran into actually a crossroad where I was deciding on, should I pursue PT? Should I pursue chiropractic care? That's really the route I was going. And a lot of it at the time was, I thought those were really the only options. I thought that was like what everyone in that particular field should do. And a lot of it wasn't my own decisions. I was in a way, I was kind of, going based off other people's decisions and their perceptions and their opinions. And I think really there was kind of when I woke up, and I was like, you know what, like they can't make my choices for me. I got to make my own choice, because at the end of the day, the only person who can make myself happy is myself. And the only way I can make other people happy is by being happy first. So really, it was right then and there, man. I just was like, I got to pursue fitness. This is just what really makes me feel alive. This is what makes me just really feel like I'm truly living. And I guess it was 2013 was when I made that shift to really better my life, to get kind of out of the extreme partying mode. At college, I was pretty hardcore partier. But then right then and there, man, it was 2014. Ironically enough, again, May 1st, tomorrow, is the 4-year anniversary of me starting my business. So that's just where it was.
Yeah, and you launched Gravfit, and because you were working at the Y and you were a lifeguard at the Y, but did you get your foot in over there at the Y with any personal training as well?
Yeah, so you're right. I was working there at the Y, I was lifeguarding, and then what I did was kind of transition out of that job to when I graduated to the fitness center. And, at the time it was good. I definitely learned a lot during the process. I got my personal training degree, or my certification, NASM, and I really got a chance to coach people in that atmosphere. But there came a point in time where I was like, I can't really serve or help everyone that I want to. I can't really branch out. I came to that point where I was at almost spinning my wheels in a way. I couldn't really leverage because there's only so many hours in a day. So that's where I decided, okay, what happens if I transition to the online? At the time I saw something online that kind of resonated with me. It was like personal training online, like coach online. This was back in 2013, 2014. And I was like, you know what? Why not check it out? So that's really where I made that transition. I noticed that I could only help so many people in a day. And I wanted to be able to make more of an impact on other people's lives, and I couldn't do it by just training one-on-one a while of time. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is that, you could be still training some clients in person, but you could kind of then spin this off and, maybe make it like a side hustle or something, which I'm sure in the beginning was probably your thought process. Like, I can definitely pick up a couple more clients over here on the side doing this online gig, and kind of supplement some income on the, on the other side where it's tough for me to get clients, given scheduling and everything else.
Yeah, that's actually exactly how it was when I first was training people in person. It kind of, when I went to online, it was supplemental income at the time. And that was like side hustle, do this, I can impact more people, but at the same time, I have my people in person. And then it transitioned or flip-flopped, and now it did the exact opposite. Now it's 99% online, and then I have one badass client I train in person. I love him. He's a funny ass dude. Always have a good time meeting with him.
So what was this thing that you found about training people online? Was it like a course, a program, a mastermind kind of gig that you could go through to basically learn how to start building up this business?
Yeah, so I think it was at the time, I want to say that what really brought me in, what gravitated, no pun intended, gravitated me in was what into me starting Gravitate was really, I searched, I believe, or I think it was on Facebook, right when they were just starting off, and I think from there I started searching how to do like online training on YouTube. And at the time I came across one guy. It's kind of funny. I went back and forth with him the other day on Instagram, but Vince Del Monte. I started talking to him I started watching his videos on YouTube, and he was actually talking about how you can grow your own personal training business, but he more so was focused on his personal training, and his audience. And I watched some of his videos as well. But I came across a mastermind to answer your question, and he was actually coached by I think someone we're both very familiar with was Ryan Lee. So that's actually, I found Ryan Lee, who is an online entrepreneur for online businesses, especially subscription-based businesses and membership sites. That's his niche, and that's really what I hooked, man. Second, Ian, I found Ryan Lee. I mean, I just knew something about his language and how he spoke to you in his email. It really connected with me. It wasn't like some cheesy, bullshit marketer just trying to, manipulate you into a sale. It was truly honest, transparent, but just trying to help someone, trying to really help someone build their lifestyle business while also having truly the lifestyle that they want, being able to spend time with family, with friends, not feeling like you're grinding 24/7, having really the lifestyle business, not the business lifestyle.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because, as I told you before we started really recording here, I was actually poking around the Freedom, website and member kind of area, I guess is what they call it. And for those not familiar, it's Freedom, but it's spelled FREEDYM. And you can look it up, and you can jump on Ryan's email list, and Ryan sends you one email per day, and the stuff that he puts in the email is stuff that you can learn from. You don't even have to join his membership site. He sends you one email every single day, and it's got some great information. And I picked up some great nuggets worth of, stuff for, building up this podcast and building up my own email list, just from his email. So I am more than happy to plug something on here for somebody that's, giving away stuff and knowledge for free. Long story short, I was poking around in the Freedom site because you can basically try it out for I think it's like $1, for the first month or something like that before it bumps you up. And I don't even remember how I came across your video, but you did an interview for the Freedom
Yeah.
members area. And so then I started watching that, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I mean, obviously there's a ton of people that work with Ryan, and there's a ton of people that follow him, but it was cool to not only find out that someone I know was also following him, but, I mean, you were invited on the website to do and talk about your company and how you've learned from Ryan.
Yeah, and I will say, if you, and that's a big thing with this stuff is a lot of people online that wanted to, or that I hear that want to transition to it. There's still, like Ryan says, there's still work that's involved, and that's the thing. If you work at what he says, like you said, the stuff in his email, if that's valuable, I mean, you will see results. It may not be instantaneous, but the big thing about Ryan is he thinks long term, and versus all these other marketers that kind of, like we talked about, try to manipulate someone into a sale. Ryan really thinks about the big picture and how to create that relationship, build that trust, create that way create that desire in a way where someone wants to, for example, open your email every single day, and they're just like waiting for it to open it and read what to say. I mean, that's truly how you build, like he says, how you build a long-term lifestyle business. But I love what the guy has, and I think how it all worked out was I emailed him and just was thanking him, and that's how it led to really getting on his site, is just reaching out to him and saying thank you. I mean, with no expectation of trying to be on there, or no expectation of anything in return. It was just full appreciation email, and that's just really where it led to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I watched your video. I think yours is probably somewhere between like a half hour and 45 minutes or so. But you guys definitely dropped some bombs in there too. So it was good stuff.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
So talk to me about building Gravitate and what it started out as, and then how you kind of maybe pivoted it a little bit, and how you're doing some different things now. So you're not only doing your website, but you have like some 28-day challenges and stuff that you're getting people into and helping them out with, and you have an email list and everything as well.
Yeah, so really how it started off, like, to talk about the whole story, but it started off really as I wanted to help people live a healthier lifestyle, obviously, because I had, at the time wasn't living a healthy lifestyle, like I was mentioning, big part into partying, and, physically, mentally didn't really appreciate who I was. And, it was time for a change. And, that feeling of being able to transition to being healthy, and I know it sounds kind of, in a way, vain, but being able to be noticed in a way like, oh, that guy works hard, that guy like really cares about himself. That feeling, you really can't put it into words. Like it's hard to describe. So I guess that feeling of knowing like you're healthy, you're fit, it's like you can take on the world, you can conquer anything. And I wanted to be able to really give back in a way, because other people helped me, that showed me how to work out when I was in school. I had some close friends in college, and I'm still friends with a few today. But I guess I wanted to really give back and just be able to share what I learned through this and how I could help other people, because it's such a gratifying feeling being able to help someone else and hear the words, "You changed my life." So that's really what made me want to do this. And it's like Ryan Lee always says, it's your business is always evolving. You always have to be evolving. And that's the truth, is like, the biggest mistake I made in the beginning was trying to do really what my ego wanted, trying to really, do what I was emotionally attached to, being emotionally attached to certain projects, being emotionally attached to certain things. And when I let go of that and I started to ask what people wanted, what they really wanted, and what they ultimately wanted to achieve, the outcome, then things start to really go upward.
And so what are you doing with your website right now? Are you building something similar to the Freedom style website, which for those who are unaware, could you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, and going back to that whole evolving part, is this time last year when I released this thing called the Gravitate Academy, which is very similar to the Freedom website in the sense where it's a membership site specifically designed with fitness and nutrition plans that are that come out every single month, and it caters more of an audience how I was before when I first started. Someone who wants to build muscle, lose body fat, really overall body composition, just wants to be more confident in themselves. That's typically my audience, and I created the membership site around that. So a new plan every month, and also pretty much a members only Facebook group or forum, if you will. And I've evolved over time. It's actually the site, believe it or not, I've kind of put it off to the side, and it's all delivered actually with, I don't know if it's the way things are changing, but it's all delivered through an app now. So I kind of pushed it off to the side, and it's delivered through my own app. And then we have the Facebook group as well for the community.
So let's pivot and talk about that a little bit. So you were part of the app design process, and talk to me about that. Talk to me about what's going on there.
Yeah, man. I guess the biggest message I want to also leave today is how powerful it is to really just reach out to somebody, not with really an expectation of trying to get something in return, but just reach out to someone and just connect. And I think that's really, I would have to attribute a lot of where I am today, especially with Freedom, because I reached out to Ryan, emailed him before from the beginning, saying thank you, and also reaching out with this app. What I did was it was actually an app. I did a Google search. Again, I was tired of delivering plans, via Excel, WordPress, or Microsoft Word. It was just getting really time consuming, and I needed, I went to a seminar at the time back in California, and someone said, "Oh, you should check out this app called Fit Builder," I think it was called at the time, and it was where you could send, you could make personalized workouts through an app and deliver them to your clients. So that at the time was pretty cool, but I looked online. There was one that really stood out to me. It was called Trainer Eyes. It just was more compelling with what I was trying to do. Resonated more with me. So I actually emailed them, and I joined, and I emailed them. I said, this was awesome. Sure enough, I think it was a month or so later, I had the project developer, or the project manager of their development company. He reached out to me, and he said that, would you be interested in just doing like a testimonial, or what was it at the time? It was just a survey via like phone chat, just like just a phone call. And sure enough, from there, we just, I guess not a lot of people wanted to do it, and he ended up becoming my client, and we became good friends. And from there, man, I was always giving them feedback on the app, how it could become better. And they've really made this app now where, and any other trainers, if they're listening now, or anyone who's involved in the fitness industry, they will make you a personalized app, which is unbelievable. And it really will help deliver the whole process to your clients or help other people. Not just that, it makes you just look a lot more professional and really makes you stand out. So it's just been incredible. I mean, it's really given me a lot more peace of mind, just knowing that I can, help so many people in just a short period of time. I mean, it's just given me so much leverage. It's leveraged my time so much. And that in itself, time is the most precious commodity we have. I mean, you can't get it back. So,
Yeah, and that's something that Ryan really preaches about too, is like being able to kind of like simplify things so that you have the time to spend with family, friends, kids, significant others, whatever your situation may be. So it seems like you're really getting that dialed in.
yeah, man. And I'll be 100% honest with you. Like, if it was a year and a half ago, maybe even a little shorter, I would be working probably till about another hour and a half, 10:30 night East Coast time. And I'll be honest, man. There was times where I didn't I didn't spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. I didn't really spend a lot of time with my friends, and that's it really made me aware of I was like I said earlier, I was more living a business lifestyle, not a lifestyle business. And it's funny because when I really started to simplify, like Ryan always says, I really started to be more impeccable with my word, really started to be congruent with what I really truly was trying to do. Not just grind, more so simplify life. Things started to change. It's like now, my girlfriend and I will watch Netflix for like an hour and a half almost every night. And it's like a year and a half ago, like I told you, I'd be doing work till, almost midnight. And it's just like, it's amazing when you take a step back and you really you focus on what's truly important, what's going to move things forward, and take a step back and really enjoy life. You'd be amazed what's going to happen, the outcome to that.
And I do want to take like a couple steps back and talk about when you were at the Y and you were working as a personal trainer there, and then you were also working as a lifeguard there. What was going on in your head when you kind of started to make this shift and you're like, okay, this online thing, it seems like a good space over here. I think I'm going to start pursuing this a little bit more rather than these clients that I have over here at the Y. Talk to me about that point in time and kind of what was going on in your head, what you were thinking about, if there were any challenges that kind of came along.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. There was definitely challenges, and it's, I would say today clarity is skyrocketing. Clarity is there, and there's days where I'm not super clear, and that's I like to always ask questions like why am I not feeling as clear as I should, but a lot of it back then was it was uncertainty. It was just should I go this route? Should I go that route? What do I want to do? And that in itself, coming from someone who definitely struggles with anxiety and being overwhelmed, gets overwhelmed easily, is kind of taking a step back and understanding, okay, what is it that's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And I think at the time it's just I didn't really become certain with really what my message was. I wasn't really sure with who I was trying to help. I wasn't really sure with ultimately what was the vision, what was my legacy that I wanted to leave. I wasn't certain. And that's just in itself, like everyone experiences at that age, in their early 20s and maybe even teens, is, what do I want to do with my life? And, it was a lot of in a way, uncertainty. And I wasn't sure if I should stay at the Y, stay with, helping people in person, or should I pursue modeling and acting? It's just, there was a lot of things going back and forth. And it was really when I guess, when I got certain on who I wanted to help and who I was really clear on changing their life, that's when things started to shift. And it became more of a message, more of a calling, more of a purpose for where I wanted to go.
And I think when you are purpose driven instead of results driven, so to speak, that's when you're going to see the growth. That's when you're going to see the change. That's when you're going to see the pieces kind of really start to fall into place.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's so, yeah, when you start to fall more on the purpose and on the impact you can make, it does fall into place. It does seem like it's less effort than it takes, if that makes sense. It doesn't seem like you're always trying to, achieve that result. And that's one thing is to not become, expect the result, is to accept whatever happens. I mean, that's one thing that I used to drive myself crazy, is I would expect, and when I did that, I just would, like, if I didn't hit it, I'd break down. So rather than expect, I started to accept certain outcomes, and take personal responsibility. Because the end of the day is cliche as it sounds, the only thing we have is a choice. It all comes down to choices. You know, whether something happens to us that's out of our control, well, it's our choice to act on how we're going to change it, or what we're going to do that's going to change our future.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the one thing that I did want to ask you to kind of try and tie it together to where you were, when you say that you made all of the mistakes, you have the ability to kind of look back and figure out what those mistakes were that you made when you were getting into your own fitness journey, and how has that helped you with some of your clients?
Yeah, so definitely the major thing I can say is entering their world, knowing where they stand, and what's really going through their head. All these mixed emotions, like we talked about with nutrition. They perceive the way they're perceiving food. Are they eating it because are they? I mean, they're not eating enough because they've been told they need to eat less to lose weight, or are they eating too much because it just is like an emotional thing? It comforts them. So it's really understanding, where I was and why I made those decisions, and how I can ultimately help them make better decisions. Because I can't make the choice for them, but I can most definitely govern to the best of my ability to help them, or do the best of my ability to really enable their choice. So.
Well, not only that, but you can also give them like the tips and tricks that you learned along the way as well. So, if, hey, just so you know, like if you're craving, sugar, then try having something like this instead. Or if you're craving,
Yeah.
Carbs, for those people who are losing weight, like, man, I'll tell you straight up, like, I would take a soft pretzel over anything, anywhere, anytime, and like that's my vice. Like,
Yeah.
I just and everyone
Oh
who
man, they're
listens to
good.
this, everyone who listens to this show, everyone who follows me on Instagram, anybody who knows me knows, like, it's almost an addiction to soft pretzels. So it's like, hey, if you're craving a soft pretzel, maybe have something like this. So coming up with those tips and tricks and little tools to keep in your pocket along the way is going to be beneficial for a lifetime for some people.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I guess, one thing I'll say is one of the mistakes I made in the beginning too is, and I guess this came from being, like, coming from a family that has a background of OCD, is I was really hooked on clean eating. I ate so clean. I actually shared the post not too long ago on Instagram that I got so engulfed with it that I almost went to the hospital. Like, I was so cut. Like, I literally got so, like, to 3 or 4% body fat, and not. I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that because I was, like, literally insane. Like, with I looked. I mean, I just started to get too body dysmorphic in a way. Like, I needed to be the most shredded. I needed to, be the leanest person in the room, and that was one of the insecurities that I had in the beginning. To kind of really needed external approval, needed validation, from the outside, just to prove my self-worth. And that was a big thing that I struggled with. And that's kind of how I started off. I had that same image of when I first started. It was like, this person, needs to be accepted. This person needs to, really be approved by other people. And that kind of carried into my fitness journey. And halfway through, I guess it was really when I became aware of that, why I kind of started. And that's, I guess, one thing that really, I try to, when I'm helping somebody, I'm trying to understand, what is the reason they're doing this, because I don't want them to fall in that same hole. Because I have worked with people that were a little, more on the extreme side before. So it's really helping, multiple people, really understanding where they're at, what's their world that they're experiencing.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny that you say that, because I think that when it comes to both weight loss and weight gain, there is this obsession around food that a lot of us fall into. And so your obsession was with, becoming the most cut up and ripped person, and somebody else's might be that they just want to lose weight, and so they become so obsessed with it. And I was talking with another guy who I interviewed, and we both agreed that the food prepping and clean eating obsession is very common. Like, we both didn't realize how obsessed we both were with it until we were kind of like talking it out with one another. And it was like, you don't have to weigh every single thing that you're eating. You don't have to eat the same exact thing every single day to get the results that you want to get. And I don't know if you follow Mike Vacanti. Do you follow him?
I have checked some of his stuff out, but I know he worked with Gary Vee a while back, right?
Yeah, he did. He was Gary Vee's, when I say personal trainer, he was Gary's one-on-one coach. Like, he would legitimately follow him around everywhere and tell him, what to order and what to eat and, everything like that. So that's how I found out about him. But I've since still kept following him, and one of the messages that he puts out there all the time, he actually just released T-shirts, and the minute he released them, I ordered one because I love the saying so much. It's consistency over perfection. So you don't have to weigh every single thing that you put into your mouth to hit the exact macros that you need to hit every single day. Just stay consistent with it. Eat clean. 80-20. You've said it before. I've seen it in your posts. Yep. 80-20. Eat clean most of the time. Enjoy that burger sometimes, and guess what? You're still going to hit that. So the obsession thing is very, very real.
Yeah. That's one guy that I like Mike's content. I remember looking at some of it on Instagram before. He was big on macros. I remember seeing that. One other guy that I guess when I was making that transitional shift that stood out was Nick Cheadle. He posted a lot about flexible dieting, and I guess in a way, one thing I guess why I really resonate with him is we have very similar stories. How he started, what I was talking about earlier, trying to be the leanest, most shredded person, and he kind of hit a breaking point where it was just like he couldn't eat that clean all the time. He couldn't weigh everything out every single day. I just got too crazy. And that, I guess, like you mentioned, man, it's just, it comes a point in time where it's like, what do you expect to do when you go out to dinner with your family? You're not going to bring, a scale, whip it out of your back pocket and just weigh it out on the table. That's not a lifestyle. I mean, you're just going to constantly drive yourself crazy. And, I say this from experience. I've been there before, and it's not fun. I mean, yeah, you are, when you do it, you probably will be the leanest person around, but there comes a point in time where it's just unhealthy, mentally and, emotionally. It's just not healthy. And it's, I think fitness is all about not just your look and physical appearance, but it's how you feel on the inside. It's how your well-being is. And if that's not up to par with what's reflected outward, then, I mean, that's, it's hypocritical. It's like you're telling someone you're healthy physically, but mentally you're not experiencing that. So it's a big part of my life, man, is just being 80-20.
Yeah, absolutely. And another way that you're kind of trying to project this holistic, healthy approach to everybody and everyone out there is with your movement for Gravitate a Million. So I want to hear a lot about this Gravitate a Million because I think that this is a really cool concept. I think it's a really cool idea, and I want to hear what it's all about.
Yes. So basically, that was who helped me with coming up with the idea. In a way, it was Ryan Lee. Going back to him when I first joined Freedom. And this is kind of when I started my business. I didn't really come up with a mission, with a vision. It was kind of time just to help people, obviously. But what was the purpose, behind it? What was the vehicle that was driving it? And he helped me do that. Is he was like, all right, what's the one reason that you're in this? Why did he's like, I know it's probably going to take a while for you to come up with, but he's like, you got to keep asking the question, why do you want to do this? So I think it took like 6 or 7 whys, but I finally got down to the core. And what it came down to was, I was in this to really impact. I came up with the number 1 million. I wanted to impact 1 million lives and gravitate them because the business is called Gravitate. But I wanted to gravitate them and inspire them towards a healthier lifestyle. And really, I know is simplistic as that sounds, is one person simply taking the initiative to live a healthier lifestyle, to do better than they were, yesterday. And that doesn't mean that they have to, buy one of my programs to be better and do something that way. It could simply be through the content I share, and they don't even have to tell me, just impact that person's life. Just in some way impact that person's life for them to be better, for them to make a better choice. Like I said before, it all comes down to choices. For them to make a better choice that's going to really make them live a longer life, to make them feel better, to make them, show up better, to make them have more confidence, is ultimately becoming better and just gravitating them towards the best version of their life possible.
And what are some of the ways that you are trying to inspire people to make these decisions? And what are some of the decisions that you're trying to get them to make?
Yeah, so one of the ways I did this was in the beginning, like I said, I was unclear on like how I was trying to get my message out. But the main way that I've been doing it from the start, I had my own podcast, but it just wasn't really connected, I guess, with what I thought I had in me, and what it was I thought I was best on video. So sending out or putting out YouTube videos or putting out Facebook Lives or just something that's really sharing my message through video, because I think a lot of fitness has to be shown through visually to understand it. So really that's where I found for my purpose and what I'm best at is on camera. So that's really how I really have vehicled this is through video, and sharing just different things, like really speaking to my audience, guys that want to be more confident and lean and, feel better, is to understand where they're at. Like I said, identify what's their world like and what do they need to do to change it. A lot of that comes down to obviously their lifestyle, what they're putting in their body, how much, and giving them tactical things to do to really change that life.
And so you're talking tactical things like, here's a couple exercises that you can do if you're at home, you don't have access to a gym, you're in a hotel, you're traveling on the road, some examples like that. And then are you also giving examples or tips on diet, maybe like an eat this, not that kind of thing?
Yeah. So with the workouts, it's more, although I am in the more of like myself in the powerlifting scene now, I try to get people obviously as much as they can to be in the gym, be lifting weights, to be improving body composition. But I know that some people with the job they have or the lifestyle they live, maybe that's not always the case. Maybe they travel a lot and they don't have access to that gym, and it's more feasible for them to do a body weight style, workout. So I try to give them that option as well, rather than not having an option at all. So yeah, I mean, it's really serving, helping them with on YouTube is showing them, these are some things you can do for your workouts. Explaining why also, what's the, purpose behind this. And then as far as the nutrition, it's just, again, showing like, what do I do? What do I do in a full day and why do I do it? This is how I eat for a full day. And I tell them, this is why I eat this way, obviously. And then I show them technically like how to use MyFitnessPal. It's one thing that's really helped me is tracking my calories, but in a way, like we said, it's not weighing them out necessarily, just kind of like eyeballing it and, adding it into the calculator.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that I don't know how you feel about macros versus calories. I did use MyFitnessPal when I first started. That was one of the first things I did was I downloaded MyFitnessPal. It asks you a couple questions. It makes you fill in some information. And then it asks you what your goals are. And it kind of spits back some numbers for you. And it says, okay, this is where you should be. This is what you should be doing. Since then, I did download a macros specific tracking app. And so you just put in the macros. You just put in the protein, the carbs, and the fats. And it has a food database. It's not as good as the MyFitnessPal database. So actually what I do is I pull it up on MyFitnessPal and I just look at those 3 macros and then I put those macros into the app. So it's a little bit more work for me, but if you have something that has a label on it, it's super easy. You just boom, 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 put those 3 in. And that's worked out very well for me. I like the tracking of macros specifically over the calories. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, I think, probably one of the most powerful questions in nutrition is what's better calorie, or what's the difference between macros and calories, I guess, is the way to answer that. And, there's a big difference, obviously, in the sense that macros, well, calories obviously is energy, but macros are what going to provide that, or what can manipulate your body's composition. So, like we talked about earlier, if someone is, we'll say, an ectomorph, naturally, they're naturally skinny, and then you have someone who's an endomorph that's naturally heavy, they're going to eat entirely different. Traditionally, ectomorphs need a lot of carbohydrates, and endomorphs need less carbohydrates, a lot of it due to insulin, and we'll not get into everything, but they usually have higher fat diets. So it really comes down to the individual. Their body type is a big, powerful thing with macronutrients. And depending on the person's goals, it depends on really what their goals are, their body type, and then you really alter their macronutrients. And I'm a big believer in that too, Ian, is macronutrients are the biggest thing I focus on because at the end of the day, I really know that I can stay within a certain window of calories. But if my macros are really out of whack, then I get kind of like, oh shit, I got to clean this up because my body's going to look different.
Yeah, and I think that definitely one of the things that I would like, people to understand, and I'm sure you can kind of sound off on this as well, is that just because you're eating 1,200 calories, per day, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're eating the appropriate calories. 1,200 calories from McDonald's and 1,200 calories from, a good Whole Foods meal are very, very different. And so that's why I like the macros, is because it really keeps you on track. Because if you eat, 150 grams of fat in one day, that could potentially be what's hindering your progress, even though you're staying under your calories.
I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like, exactly, like not all calories are equal in the sense that, like you just said, if you're eating McDonald's versus, going to Whole Foods and say getting like a really healthy meal, or whole food based meal, a lot of it comes down to the macronutrients, or what's really, there's a number of things, but it's really what's going to be in charge of, the chemistry that's taking place in your body. If you're eating, like, let's just use an example as, we'll say a 500 calorie meal that's whole food based and then 500 calories of soda, well, I mean, the soda, because of the sugar content in that, what that's going to do to your insulin levels, I mean, it's going to be nearly impossible to lose body fat if you just chug that down, replace that with a whole food-based meal, thinking, okay, well, I can hit this many calories. It doesn't work like that, if you're doing that all the time, because your body, it may sound like it on paper, but what's going on internally, chemistry-wise, I mean, the body doesn't work that way. I mean, you have to fuel it with the appropriate, calories, the right, fuel. Because think of it this way, and this is an example I like to always use for, anyone who's listening, really, this is the best way to perceive it is, imagine your body is, we'll just say a supercar. It's your favorite car, exotic car, whatever it is. It's a high performance car. If you put absolute shit fuel in it, the car is probably it's probably not even going to run. It's probably going to misfire, and the engine won't, run properly. So it probably won't even leave, the parking lot. Versus if you put high performance, 120 octane in it, the car is going to fly. So it's like, thinking of it that way is you want to put good food in your body majority of the time, because your body's going to be at its optimal state. It's going to run and work efficiently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I mean, I've heard it a million times. Like, you're not going to drive a Lamborghini to the gas station and put regular fuel inside the Lamborghini. Like, the Lamborghini's not going to run on fuel. And
87, yeah.
And here's here's the caveat to that is people are going to say, oh, well, I don't have the Lamborghini of a body. But that's where the differentiation comes in is, yes, you don't have the Lamborghini of the body, whatever that may mean to you. You don't have the six-pack, you don't have this, you don't have that. But unlike the Lamborghini versus the Toyota, how a Toyota is different from a Lamborghini, everyone's body is a Lamborghini. Like, you need to put the good fuel in your body in order to perform. It's not like, oh, well, I have a Toyota, so I'm going to go to McDonald's for lunch. No. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually a good point to make, and exactly. People need to view their body as, and that's a thing, man. Is you got to treat yourself as if you are that, you are that Lamborghini, you are that high, you are that. I hate to put a value on it, but you are, you're worth, a lot. I mean, you can't, degrade yourself and put crap in your body. You got to be able to treat yourself, because if you start putting that junk in your body all the time, you're not going to feel good, you're not going to make good decisions, and that, like we talked about earlier, is going to reflect outward. I mean, that's going to put you in situations where, you may snap on someone. I mean, food is so powerful, man. It has such an effect on the mind. And really, I've even caught myself where I've had, and I'll be honest, I've had days where I didn't have stuff out, I didn't have groceries, and I had a busy day. And, it's me making excuses, obviously, but I didn't make good decisions. And, next thing I do is I catch myself, being more anxious, being more snappy, not being really myself. So food really has a powerful effect psychologically. And that's just one thing I really encourage people to do is make good decisions with your food, because it's a lot more powerful, I will say, with weight loss especially, than the exercise itself. Now, exercise is important, it's imperative, but food is a lot of it.
And just to spin off on that as well, just the same way that bad choices snowball, good choices snowball as well. So if you have, and regardless of whether you're intermittent fasting, you don't eat breakfast, whatever, like if you start the day with something good, it's going to snowball into having something good for the rest of the day. And when you do that for one day, and then 2 days, and then 3 days, and then 4 days, like the decisions do become easier.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I was actually listening to, you may know him, Jim Quick, if you heard of him.
No, I haven't.
So I think he was part of Ryan Lee as well. He worked with Ryan Lee in the past, and he's big on think his business is designed around speed reading and also memorization. So he works with a lot of like top actors, remember lines for their roles, and he teaches people, how to create importance for something. So I watched a video the other day where he was talking about choices and how when you start off your day, one of the worst things you can always do is go right to your phone, and start checking social media. And because you start to put yourself in this state of reaction, always reacting to, text, to certain, responding to everything. And that right there, like you said, making those choices off the beginning of your day, it's going to snowball, and you're going to start to become more reactive throughout the day. You start to, respond that way. So, like you said with nutrition, it's important that you set the tone, in the beginning of the day. Make that good choice. Start the day, even if it's small. I mean, it doesn't have to be, this big decision. All it can be as simply as, I'm going to start off my day with, a healthy breakfast, or I'm going to start off my day with, instead of coffee, right to coffee, I'm going to drink a glass of water and wait, an hour for coffee or something like that. And not that coffee's bad, but you know what I mean? It's just really making good decisions in a sense where you're not going to do something that's going to pull you away from your goal.
Yeah, and just kind of going off of having water in the morning and drinking that first and then having your coffee kind of like second. Do you know who Aubrey Marcus is by chance?
Dude.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you
I had just
book?
heard his podcast. I didn't get the book, but I just heard him on Jason Ferrugia's podcast the other day. And what's the name of that book, man? Own Your Day, right?
Yeah.
Own the Day, yeah. Yeah, I love his stuff, man. I love his company on it. I love, that guy is just, he's killing it. Yeah,
listen,
and
you gotta get the book, bro. You gotta get it.
I'm gonna get it.
It's
now.
really good. It's really good. But one of the things he talks about is making what's called the morning mineral cocktail. So you take, your choice of spring or purified water at the very minimum. You put 3 grams of Himalayan sea salt, and then you squeeze a quarter of a lemon and you shake it up. And that's the very, very first thing that you put into your body in the morning, and it kind of replaces some of the minerals and the hydration and everything. It sounds really gross. And the first time you try it, it's kind of like, ugh, what did I just have? But it's crazy. And that book has loads of stuff about starting your day off on the right foot, and how, that's the whole premise of the book is how to start your day off on the right foot to own the entire day. So that's a really, really big thing right now is starting your day off well, and how that's going to set you up to be successful for the rest of the day in whatever it is. Even if you're going to a job that's not your favorite job, this book, kind of talks about setting yourself up to not lose your shit and punch someone in the face at work, because you're not eating right, and everything that we just talked about. So
yeah, dude.
But yeah, you gotta check it. You gotta check the book out, man. It's awesome, and we've plugged so many people on here, and it's all people that I would love to have on too, which is so cool. And it's really cool that like I said before we even got recording, we have these connections and we share a lot of the same interests and follow a lot of the same people. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. It's so funny. He just popped into my head the other day. I saw it. His ads have been popping because I clicked something. I think it was one of his. I was on it probably. That's why. But yeah, I got to get that book because that sounds awesome. I definitely want to try that out. His stuff is awesome. It's so knowledgeable. His whole intake on everything. So
yeah, man. All right, so I'm gonna hit you with one last question. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, so if it takes you a second to come up with an answer, please, take all the time that you need. But I want to kind of give some context with it as well. So the podcast is called the Do It For Yourself podcast. And the reason that it is called that is because I interview people who are doing something for themselves. And what that means is it's not someone who is being selfish and doing something for themselves. It is someone who is saying, I'm going to go over here and start this business, regardless of the fact that my parents are saying, no, you should go to school instead, or, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to run this marathon because for the first time in 27 years of my life, I actually want to go for a run. I'm not running because a coach is telling me that I have to, or because someone's telling me I need to lose weight, et cetera, right? So that's the premise of the podcast. My question to you is, if someone, and you probably get this message, often because of your presence on social media, but someone reaches out to you and they say, Austen, I'm completely lost. I'm 100 pounds overweight. I really want to start moving. I want to start doing something. Or I want to start a business. Whatever the case may be, they want to start something. What is that first step that you tell them? What do you tell them to do?
Well, the simple thing would be to say just get started. But where do you start? And depending on what they want to do, I mean, so in this case, they want to lose 100 pounds, you said?
Yeah, they want to lose 100 pounds. They want to start a business. It doesn't matter what they want to start. They just they want to start something. You know what I mean?
Okay. I would personally say it's okay for you to experience what you're experiencing, because this is human nature. It's okay for you to experience the fact that you're going to have all these people telling you shouldn't do that. You're going to have these emotions going through, or you're going to have these, things going through your head saying you shouldn't do that. It's okay to feel that way. But understand that, again, the only thing that's really going to get you there and make you happy is, leading off what we said today, is making that choice. Just making that choice and deciding really what's the life I want to live and why do I want to do it. Because if you're there right now, well, the reason you're there right now is because it's the combination of the choices you've made in the past. So in order to reshape the future, to change ultimately where you want to go, is going to have to start with a choice that's going to be congruent with that future. So you have to ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now that's going to impact my life to be where I want to be? And that's one thing that really, not to bring it upon myself, but that's one thing that I've really continually asked myself every day, because it's an ongoing thing. You have to ask yourself, what's the one most powerful thing that I can do right now that's going to get me out of this shit that I'm in, this absolute hell that I'm experiencing, to go where I want to be. And it's not what other people think. It's not what they think is the one thing. It's what you truly think is the one thing. What's that one thing that really matters?
I like it. I like it a lot, man. So the last thing that I want you to do is I want you to give us your social media, give us your website, give us some places where people can find you, get connected, and kind of just see what you're up to.
Yeah, man. Keep it simple. I mean, I would say the major sources to go to is my YouTube, my Instagram, and then Facebook page. And those are all very simple. My YouTube channel is Gravitate, so YouTube channel /Gravitate. And then my Instagram is grav_fit with 2 T's. So is the YouTube as well. And then my Facebook is Gravitate as well. So just keep it, consistent. And like we were talking about earlier, I try to do a daily. I do the best I can, but I do at least 3 times. I send out an email per week. So that's just where I share a lot of my best content there. And, I'm always active on those 3 things. So those are definitely the best places to catch me.
Perfect. All right. And I will make sure to include all that stuff in, links and everything down in the show notes, both on the website page for my website in the show notes for iTunes and all that good stuff. So if you are looking to get connected with Austen, definitely check there because you'll be able to find all the links to his stuff there. And lastly, Austen, I would like to say thank you very much for sticking with me. I know we had a couple hiccups in the very beginning. I'm really hoping that everything's okay with your computer and that comes back to life because I'm sure that's how you're making your living. So you definitely need that. And I mean, again, man, just thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story with people about how you are doing it for yourself.
Hey, and I gotta say, I appreciate, you considering me and taking me on here, and I do appreciate everything you've done today. And one thing I appreciate the most out of it all is what you've done, for yourself. To looking back at your story, I was checking it out, and it's just amazing the transition you've made. I mean, dude, hats off to you. It's a hell of a transformation, not just physically, but mentally, and what you've done. In your transformation and what you're doing now. I mean, it's amazing. So I want to say I appreciate the amount of, effort and, desire that you have really cultivated to really make that change, to really what you did to really transition from where you were to where you are now to what you're even continually doing now to help others. I think it's awesome, man. So keep it up.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I definitely want to get connected because I know that Gravitate 1,000,000 is going to keep going and the Gravitate Academy is going to keep going. So, we're definitely going to get connected again to see how things are going for both of us on both ends.
Great, man. Can't wait.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, and I will talk with you soon.
All right, brother.
So that is it, my friends. I feel like I end these shows the same way every single time, but I don't really know what else to say. But yes, that was my interview. I'm going to work on that. If you have any tips or anything, any different ways to say that it was the ending of a show, please send me a message. I would greatly appreciate that. My interview with Austen Gravett. As I said in the intro, Austen he's a really awesome dude, and he was very, very open to doing this interview and sitting down with me via Skype, which was really rad. And we actually found out that we do not live too far apart from one another. So hopefully in our next interview, we're going to be able to sit down and get to this in person, which would be really awesome to have the opportunity to do. But other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with me and with Austen here on the Do It For Yourself podcast. I hope you enjoyed this interview. If this is your first time coming on, please feel free to poke around and check out some of the previous interviews. The one that I launched just before this with Adam Jones, who is the owner of Peloton Cold Brew, was a great interview. Sergio Gaitan. There's just been some great people. Ginny Loves Try, Steve Delmo. I've had some really great interviews thus far. So if this is your first time, please feel free to go back and check out a few more of the interviews and let me know what your thoughts and feelings are on the show. If you've been a long-time listener, I would also like to take a minute to say thank you very much for your support. I can feel it coming through, and I do really appreciate that. With that being said, I will see you guys next week for another interview.